Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into one of the most sensitive, urgent, and often overlooked stories of our time, the state of Islam in China. Beyond the skyscrapers, the booming tech industry, and the polished images presented to the world, another quieter, heartbreaking reality is unfolding: a battle over faith, identity, and survival. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because here, we uncover the stories most people don't talk about. And today's journey will leave you questioning and hopefully feeling a lot. Let's get started. Islam's ancient footprint in China? Islam has existed in China for over 1,300 years. Muslim merchants from Persia and Central Asia traveled the ancient Silk Road, not only trading goods, but also bringing their faith. Today, two major Muslim groups define China's Islamic identity. The Hui Muslims, ethnically similar to Han Chinese, often speaking Mandarin and dressing traditionally Chinese. The Uyghur Muslims, a Turkic ethnic group with their own language and culture, mainly in Xinjiang, a region China's government calls an autonomous territory, but which many Uyghurs view as their homeland. For centuries, mosques dotted the landscape. The call to prayer echoed in busy markets. Ramadan lanterns lit up ancient towns. Islam wasn't just tolerated, it was woven into the fabric of Chinese life. But now, that fabric is being unraveled. What is Sinicization? In recent years, China's leadership introduced a policy called Sinicization, reshaping all religions to conform to Chinese socialism and traditional Han culture. It sounds academic, but the reality is brutal. Mosques are stripped of their domes and minarets. Quranic calligraphy is erased from walls. Sermons are rewritten to promote loyalty to the Communist Party. In other words, Islam must serve the state, not God. In places like Ningxia and Gansu, regions once known for their flourishing Hui Muslim communities, the changes are visible. Stone mosques with crescent moons have been transformed to look like traditional Chinese pagodas. In some towns, Arabic signage once proudly displayed has vanished almost overnight. It's not just cosmetic, it's cultural erasure, one brushstroke at a time. Life under surveillance, the modern police state. But it's in Xinjiang where these changes take on an even darker tone. Imagine this. Every street, every alley, every marketplace lined with facial recognition cameras. Police checkpoints every few blocks. Mandatory apps installed on smartphones that track movement, conversations, even religious apps silently disappearing from app stores. This is not science fiction. This is daily life for millions of Uyghur Muslims. During Ramadan, authorities monitor fasting through biometric data. Reports from 2025 reveal officials conducting surprise lunch inspections, forcing suspected fasters to eat in public to prove loyalty to the state. A young Uyghur woman recently shared her story anonymously. At night, I whisper prayers into my pillow, fearing even the darkness isn't safe. Even the walls might hear me. Imagine living in a world where even silence is dangerous. Reeducation Camps. A name change, but not the reality. China claims the infamous re-education camps have been closed. Official tours show pristine buildings, classrooms with smiling graduates thanking the government. But satellite imagery and leaked interviews tell another story. Many facilities have simply been rebranded as vocational training centers or public service hubs with barbed wire and armed guards still visible. Inside, Uyghur Muslims describe horrific conditions. Forced renunciations of faith, mandatory consumption of pork and alcohol, endless hours of Communist Party indoctrination. One former detainee said, "They told me Islam was a disease and they would cure me. Every prayer I whispered cost me another day inside." This isn't about job training, it's about forced assimilation. Hui Muslims, once protected, now targeted. For decades, Hui Muslims were seen as a model minority. They spoke Mandarin, dressed like Han Chinese and were largely left alone. But starting in 2023, that changed. Authorities began demolishing Hui mosques. Arabic language Quran schools were shut down. Pilgrimages to Mecca were severely restricted with mandatory political indoctrination before travel. An elderly Hui man described the moment he saw bulldozers tear down his local mosque. "I prayed there as a boy. My father prayed there. My grandfather built it with his hands. They reduced it to rubble as if erasing our prayers could erase our faith. The walls may fall, but the memories and the faith endure." Tourist illusions versus harsh reality. On the surface, China showcases a shiny, harmonious picture. Tourists visiting Xinjiang are welcomed with cultural dances, colorful costumes, and cheerful Uyghur performances. But just beyond the stage lights, a different world exists. One of surveillance, fear, and families afraid to speak their native language in public. It's a sharp, almost cruel contrast. Tourists take selfies with smiling performers, while hidden cameras record every move of the actual Uyghur citizens just steps away. It's not cultural celebration. It's performance under duress. International reaction. Words without teeth? Western nations have spoken out. The US, the EU, and human rights groups have called China's actions a cultural genocide. In 2025, fresh sanctions were placed on companies linked to forced labor and surveillance technologies. More reports, more speeches, more condemnations. And yet, China's economic power keeps many governments silent, especially in the Muslim world, where economic dependencies and political alliances drown out moral outrage. For millions suffering in silence, the world's selective outrage cuts deeper than the repression itself. Broader implications, a dangerous precedent. If unchecked, China's policies could set a dangerous precedent. That powerful nations can remake religions, cultures, even histories if they control the narrative strongly enough. Other authoritarian regimes are already watching, quietly learning how to police thought, how to erase identity, how to silence faith without firing a single shot. This isn't just China's story. It's a warning for the world. Resilience, a flame that refuses to die. And yet, despite everything Islam in China endures, in secret rooms, prayers still rise into the night. In hidden gatherings, the Quran is still whispered from heart to heart. In exiled communities abroad, Uyghurs and Hui Muslims continue telling their stories, refusing to be forgotten. One Uyghur man living abroad recently said, "They can tear down our mosques, they can burn our books, but they will never silence the words written in our hearts." That kind of faith, tested under unimaginable pressure, is harder to erase than any minaret. So what's happening to Islam in China? It's being reshaped. It's being surveilled. It's being threatened. But it is not being destroyed. Because faith, real faith, doesn't live in buildings or books. It lives in people. And no government, no policy, no surveillance state can ever fully extinguish that. The only question left is, will future generations remember this as the moment the world stood by, or the moment it finally stood up? Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, share it, talk about it. Because silence is the greatest weapon oppression ever wielded. Stay curious, stay compassionate,